Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm here today with a library haul. I thought there's probably no better way than to restart my channel than with a library haul so I can show you the kind of books that I will grab if money is no object. So I'm going to do these in no particular order, just however I pick them up. So the first book is End of Story by AJ Finn. This is the second book from the person who wrote The Woman in the Window, which I really enjoyed when I read it. I actually kind of remember after getting it home that I think there was some controversy about that author. I think there was some not very good stuff about him out and about, but I did really enjoy The Woman in the Window and I've already picked it up now, so I'll probably give this a read. This looks like a really fun little thriller. It's fairly long, well, just over 400 pages, so about average then, I guess. But this is the first book. I love thrillers. I will read any thriller I can pretty much get my hands on. I don't care if they're good, I don't care if they're bad, I will just read them all. Next, I have Endgame by Daniel Cole. I've actually already read this. I had the second book, Hangman, on my Kindle, and when I saw this in the library, I was sort of grabbed it and thought as soon as I finish Hangman, I'll get straight onto Endgame, which I did. It was really good. It was a nice, very steady crime book. I enjoyed it. I like a lot of crime. I like a lot of thrillers. They're probably my most read genre of books. This one was quite grisly in some of the murders. There was one part of it, obviously this isn't a wrap up so I won't go into too much detail, but there was one part of it where there was a pregnancy storyline and the timeline of that was absolutely wild and not realistic at all. I don't know if this is meant to be set in our real world or not. It seemed like it was, but I guess a week. It was a week. But anyway, that was that. It was really good. I did enjoy it. And then we have, this one is The Inmate by Sebastian Fitzek. I have never heard of this author. I've never heard of this book, but it was blurbed by Chris Carter, who is one of my absolute favourites. And that was enough for me to just pick it up because Chris Carter writes fantastic crime books. I did read the blurb on the back. Basically, it seems like there's somebody that's admitted to 2 child murders, but there's one child that's never been found. And they think he did it, but he won't admit to it. So the father of the missing child is given the opportunity to go into the institution or prison, I'm not sure where it is, I guess prison, inmate makes more sense. He gets the chance to go into the institution and basically confront the person that he thinks killed his son. So sounds great. I don't think it's part of a series. I think this author has written other books, but they aren't in a series, so looking forward to this one. Next, we have Children of Ruin by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I read the first book in this, Children of Time, and it was really, really good. I read it on audiobook. I do actually have the audiobook of this on my Audible app. I used one of my credits. I don't have Audible all the time, but occasionally if they're giving free credits out I will take them. But this one, yeah, I've got it on Audible and I thought maybe if I had the physical book I could kind of double team it at some point, so that's the reason why I picked this one up. Then we have, obviously I've already started this one, as you can see. This is called Pathogenesis we'll call it, by Jonathan Kennedy. This one just seemed really interesting to me. I was walking around the library and I couldn't really see much in the non-fiction that I was particularly interested in, but this one, it's got a very pretty cover, so I'm a sucker for a pretty cover. It just kind of seemed interesting to me. It's about history and the history of germs and illnesses, pandemics, plagues, things like that. Like I say, I'm only so far quite early on and it's more of a history book than anything to do with any pathogens or plagues at the moment, so I'll see how it goes. I did have a look when I got home and I don't think this reviews particularly well. I read one bad review for it and it kind of put me off, but I was enjoying it beforehand, so I'm going to continue and see how I get on with it. Then we have Salt Lick. I picked up Salt Lick by Lulu Allison because it was longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction a couple of years ago and I thought it seemed quite interesting at that point. I never got around to reading it, so I'm not sure if it's really going to be my kind of thing. I think it's like written from the point of view of a cow or multiple cows, but I don't really know if it's going to be my kind of thing, but that's exactly what I use my library for. I will just get a book if I think I may or may not like it. It doesn't cost me anything to give it a try and I can give it a few chapters. There's no pressure to finish it. Like sometimes if you've spent money on a book you kind of feel like, well, I have to read it because it cost me £9.99. I've put £10 into this book and I want to get my money's worth out of it. But when you get it from the library, there's not that pressure there. You can just be a little bit more free with your choices. Same with the pathogen book really. And then another one that I've kind of started, I've only read literally the first page, and that is Fairy Tale by Stephen King. Now I've read quite a few Stephen King books This one didn't really strike me as particularly interesting, but it was kind of on my radar to get around to eventually, but I didn't have any kind of real incentive to read it anytime soon. I just thought I will get to that at some point. But the woman in the library, when I was in there, she said, oh, she'd picked it up to put it away, and she said, oh, do you like good stories? And I was like, obviously I'm in the library, of course I like good stories. She said, do you like dogs? And I was like, yeah, I like dogs. She says, well, try this. My daughter got me to read it and I really, really loved it. So I just thought, again, doesn't cost me anything to give it a try, give it a couple of chapters, see what I think. I do think Stephen King does write very good books. I was trying to read his books chronologically, so this would kind of put me out of that. But also I have read a few out of order. So I've like read It and Under the Dome and some of his bigger ones out of order when I'm just in the mood for a big book. So, and then next we have Stitched Up by Dr. Shahed Yousaf. This one is the story of a prison doctor. I've read a prison doctor book before, maybe a couple, and little slice of life non-fiction books like this about people who do a specific job are very interesting to me. I read like one about a firefighter that made one that was really popular a few years ago. This Is Gonna Hurt by Adam Kay. I read bits and pieces like that. So I do find that specific people who do a job and their life stories are interesting when it's about the job and about them. I don't know, but I give it a try. This is what I will say through the whole video, is how much I love about the library, that it doesn't matter if you read the book or not, because the option's there and it doesn't cost you anything. Next we have Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldry. This is the follow-up to Lattes and Legends, but it's a prequel. I've not read Lattes and Legends, so I'm a bit like, I don't know if I should not read this until I've read that, or if, I don't know. If you know, let me know. If you see this and you've read both of these books and I can read this one first and it makes no difference, let me know. People just rave about it. I read some fantasy occasionally and I don't dislike it when I read it. I usually read it on audiobook, but I feel like maybe with this one being a bit more of a cozy example of the genre, perhaps it will work for me a little bit more as a read book. We'll see. Again, as always, I can give it a few chapters. I probably, if nobody knows or nobody watches this video and lets me know whether I can read this one first, I'll probably just Google it and see what the vibe is on reading this one first. Next we have Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. This one I have on my Kindle, but I've just never got round to reading it, and I thought maybe if I have the physical book it would encourage me to read it a little bit quicker. I don't really know, I think is it okay, yeah. So it's about Daisy Darker, who goes to an island because her grandma dies, I think, something like that. I've read quite a few thrillers by Alice Feeney and enjoyed them, so I would anticipate that I would enjoy this one as well, but I will find out. And then finally, the last book we have, this is such a odd pick for me. This is A Cold-Blooded Liar by Karen Rose. So this book, oh, that's my library ticket. I've read a few books by Karen Rose, and I always say when I'm reading them, oh god, I don't know why I'm reading this. It's like got these really graphically written sex scenes that make me cringe inside out, because I hate reading. I know a lot of people like reading spicy books and that kind of thing, but it just makes me cringe. Like I can't read it. I just, oh god. But these are like crimey, thrillery romance books, which I don't really like romance. They remind me in a way of the In Death books by J.D. Robb. So if you've read any of those and you enjoyed them, maybe give this a try. But they're usually somebody who's like works in security or working as a bodyguard, or they used to work for the police force and now they don't, and they end up being assigned to somebody that they have to protect, and then they fall in love, or it's somebody within the circle. She basically writes small series. So I'll show you here. So there's like quite a few different series that she's written, and they've all got only a couple of books in, so they're kind of quite manageable, and I've read a few of these series and I really enjoyed them, to be honest. The ones that I've read, I think there's like an overarching story in each little series. Some of the series interconnect as well, and there's some characters that come back. But yeah, I don't know. I always end up picking up another one, even though I say I don't like them. And I'm like, oh no, this is so cringy. It's so embarrassing to read. I still always get another one. So who knows? They are very well written, and oftentimes they're quite long books, but they're very quick to read. And the stories are good. The pacing is really good, and they are very compulsive to read. So I picked up another one. So that is my entire library haul. That's 11 books, I think. Is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, good. I found them all. That's fantastic. As I say, I always use the library as a bit of obviously a free bookshop, because that's exactly what it is. And I hope that kind of gives you a taste of the kind of books that I generally read. I think pretty much everything's covered in there, apart from classics. I do read the odd classic as well, but I wouldn't say I was a huge classic reader. It's just something that I will pick up occasionally. But if these kind of books are your vibe, then I am probably the kind of booktube channel that you're going to want to subscribe to. I did post some videos quite a long time ago that I've privated now, but I'm going to be trying to get a bit more regular posting on here again. I've got a better setup now, I've got a better microphone, better camera and everything like that, so I'm hoping to be coming back here and posting videos a lot more regularly. So I would love it if you'd subscribe. If you've enjoyed this haul, then if you could like the video, I'd really appreciate it. Obviously coming back, I don't know if any of my previous subscribers are still online or about, so if you are an original subscriber, please like the video, come and say hi in the comments because I would love to talk to you, and also let me know which one of these books you would choose first, because like I said, I've already read Endgame, but I'm kind of dithering about which one to read next. To be honest, I know I sort of started Fairy Tale, but I'm not thinking about doing that. I'm thinking about reading this AJ Finn End of Story because I didn't even know that they had a new book out. I can't remember what the controversy was. I'll have to look into that, I guess. And this, The Inmate as well, because Chris Carter's blabbed it, and I love Chris Carter. He's got a new book coming out in June. Two of my favourite authors have got books coming out on the same day, so I'm kind of worried about that day. I don't know. Oh, we'll see where my loyalties really lie, won't we, I suppose. But anyway, yeah, I was just checking in with that today, and I'll see you again in another video very soon. And I suppose I need to do some sort of thumbnail. What would that look like?